Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast.
Welcome to my podcast, where we are going to talk about a lifestyle with dogs and throw in a few life lessons along the way. Whether you're a hound hunter, bird dog enthusiast, running setters, pointers, retrievers, or a flat-out running dog junkie, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Heath Hyatt, a certified law enforcement canine trainer with over 3 decades of personal and professional training and handling experience. It's time for me to pay it forward. So grab your leads, lace up those boots, and come and join me on this lifelong process of teaching, training, and learning. Are you looking to unlock your dog's full potential and give them the best nutrition possible for peak performance? Then look no further. Inukshuk has what you're looking for. Inukshuk's nutrient-dense formulas are crafted to keep your dog's energy high and performance top-notch. Packed with premium proteins and essential fats, Inukshuk delivers the balanced nutrition your dog needs to thrive. From hunting dogs to police canines, Inukshuk is trusted by professionals. Give your dog the power of peak performance with Inukshuk professional dog food. It's going to be a good one. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of What's Up Wednesday, podcast for every hunter who's ever followed a good nose through the woods. I'm Heath Hyatt, your host, and each week we dive into tips, tales, and training tricks to turn your hound into a hunting machine. Whether you're just getting started or you've logged hundreds of miles with your pack, there's something in here for you. Glad everybody could join us. So, just a quick follow-up from week before last. I dropped one on female versus male. Which do you prefer? And man, the comments came in, and it was pretty much 10s, which I was surprised. But again, like I said, after looking at my kennel and evaluating what I've done, I'm female heavy right now. That if that's how it works, I'm with it. When you're picking out the best pup for you, and I think too, after listening to that podcast and looking at the comments and reading the comments, when you're picking out those pups, and the females just kind of catch your eye. Not all the time, but they do. And I want to use a quote, or Doug Temple replied. Doug's got years and years and years and years of hunting in, and he made a very good observation that it's easier to pick the females, and it seems like they come along more often. But when you get that male, that's where you end up with that once in a lifetime hound. And after he commented that on the Facebook post, I got to thinking about it, and I'm thinking, he's right. Like, out of my pack, evaluating my pack and the dogs that I've owned previously, I've had some really, really nice females. I mean, you've heard me talk about Belle, my little Camden female, numerous times. My Brandy female, which I coon hunted. I had a female named Sky. I've had some really good females, but they've not been that once in a lifetime hound. And I've had 2 males, i.e. Frosty and Ring, that I would categorize in that realm. Like, I would say that they were. So when Doug made that statement, I think it's very true. It's very true for what I've owned and what I've seen. And like I said, I know them often. But anyway, I thought that was real interesting that most people preferred the females. And I absolutely hate when they come in heat. And I got a yard full, and when one comes in, I got 3 that comes in. Last year during December, I mean, I missed 2 of my females, pretty much missed 3/4 of the season. Right now, everything's kind of cycled through, so I hope I'm in good shape. I may miss Kate this year and have to go back and look at her dates last time she was in. But yeah, so that's the downfall of the females is, when they come in heat, they're laid up for 21 days, unless you're hunting all females. And we talked about that, like had this conversation off the podcast. Well, if you're just hunting all females, it don't matter. Well, that's outstanding, right? But what happens when another dog gets into your tree or gets into your race and the race stops and it's a male dog, and then all of a sudden they're hooked up and it's not something that you even considered. So there are things like that happens. But anyway, I got to thinking about after last week's podcast, was talking about hunting, and I give you a little bit of rundown about my first week. And I've got some other things to add to it. So I'm going to tell you about 2 things that I did this week. Again, we're ahead, so this podcast will be 2 weeks behind what I'm telling you. Okay, so you guys out west, if you're listening, you're going to be happy. So I actually had 6 dogs treed. That's what I carry with me, 6. That's kind of my limit. I would really like to back it down to 4, honestly, but 6 is what I've been carrying. And I'm still not 100% released from my surgery, even though I feel okay. Everything's working well. So I got down, dogs got treed. And let me just set it up for you so you understand what happened, how it happened. So they're treed. We're in a big poplar tree. It's a lot of smaller growth, so you can't really see up the tree. I had to get back up the ridge, and there was actually an old logging road that I was actually standing on the berm of it and could see where the bear was at. It was a small bear. The bear was sitting up really high in his poplar tree, and I'm down in a holler. And dogs have been there. I'd been there about 30 minutes because I treed right at daylight, right before daylight. And I was trying to wait for it to get light enough so I could see. So I'd sit there for 30 minutes or so, let the dogs tree and do whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to see if I just call my dogs off a tree. I'm going to try it. So I walked up, I don't know, about 25 yards from the tree. And again, the dogs have been there. It's humid. They're not blowing the top out of it. They're not looking at the bear. The bear's not running up and down the tree. That excitement level is probably at a 7. If you're on a scale to 1 to 10, we're probably at a 7. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to call my 2 oldest dogs off first. And if they come, then hopefully the rest will be easy. I had Kate with me that day, and I had Kate and Houdini. That was my 2 oldest. So got away from the tree, got up the hill, and I hollered for them too. And Houdini kind of looks at me like, what? Come on, buddy, let's go. And he starts coming to me, and Kate's working her way to me, and I just start calling them name by name by name. I had Sassy and Lady, Kate, Houdini, Chief, and I don't remember what the other one was. But anyway, I had 6 dogs. So I hollered for them name by name, and they all come to me. And when they got to me, all right, guys, good, let's go. Excited voice. And I start walking away, and not one of them tried to go back to that tree. And I was 250 yards underneath the mountain. So I had to pull up 250 yards so I could get back to pretty much flat ground to get out to the truck. No problems, no issues. And it worked out well. So, you Western guys that do this all the time, I'm working on it, right? I'm working on it. I don't think I could have done that with the dogs if the bear was running up and down the tree. So yesterday, I caught a smaller bear on the ground. Did not want to climb. Probably 100 pounds. Had 5 dogs with me. I had 6. I'm sorry, I had 6. And got down in. He was in a big, thick briar thicket. He was in blackberries, what he was in. And he'd backed up against a log, and I got down in there, me and Maddie, and long story short, I got in there and I got within about 20, I don't know, 15, 10, 15, 20 yards of him. I don't know. And one of the dogs come back. So I just went ahead and grabbed him up. He come back to me. So I grabbed him up, tagged right there. So I got 5 dogs. I try to go in and start catching them, and the bear breaks and runs down the mountain about 50 yards. Now it's slick. A lot of moss and stuff on the north side where I was at. So I got down in there again, got about 10 yards away. Well, it breaks and runs again, and it goes about 50, 60 more yards down the mountain and around. So I get down to the third time, and I'm like, this is not going to work. Like every time I get close, he's just, so I was trying to circle below him and push him back up the mountain, towards the truck. And I circled around the third time. He went out the mountain instead of down. And I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. So I got where I could see the dogs. I was probably 20, 25 yards away. And I mean, they're bait up. So I start hollering at them and I start toning. Again, I go with my older dogs first, which was Hootie and Hart, my 4-year-olds. Hootie gives me a little fit there. He comes on, and then I get Briggs and Bishop, which is the B litter. They come on, and I've actually called them off a bear on the ground before like that. So they kind of knew the drill. And when they got to me, but Lady gave me a fit. She did not want to come to me. She would look at me and she'd go right back to baying. And I like that. You don't want your dogs to come. You don't want them to come off. But anyway, I had to tone her a couple more times, and she would stop and then go right back to it. So I ended up applying a little bit of pressure. Nothing major, nothing hard at all. And got her coming to me. As soon as she started to me, I quit. And, the bear literally just kind of took, I don't know, he went about 10 yards and sat down again. And then he kind of moseyed on around the mountain there. But once I got them started coming to me, they come to me. And when they got to me, guys, I'm going to tell you, we had a party. Like, we had a party. I praised them. I petted them. I give them attaboys and attagirls. And then I had to pull up out of the steep. Like, it was steep. So anyway, I was really pleased with that. And we talk about recalls and distractions and all the things that go into training. It's starting to come together. I don't like doing that I don't like to do that. And if it hadn't been hotter than Hades yesterday, humidity was, 98%. The time I pulled back to the top of the mountain, it looked like I just got out of the pool. I was drenched. And when I say drenched, I mean drenched. So anyway, you Western guys, there you go. I'm working on it, a little bit at a time, but it happened. And I was very tickled that I was able to do that. So anyway, that led me into me and Richie Zaccardi. You guys know Richie. We've been talking about like the YouTube stuff and Facebook and social media and how people always are posting the good stuff, right? The good strike on the box, or you see the dogs leaving out of there scorching or trailing up, and then the next thing you know, you're at a tree with a bear or a lion or whatever. So Richie's got his YouTube channel going, and he's trying to document some of the struggles that we have. And before we wrap this up, today, I'm going to tell you about some of the struggles that I'm having. But guys, anybody that hound hunts, they understand all the challenges that go along with this and the dedication that it takes to have a finished hunting dog. And why do we not see that stuff? Like, why is it not, we don't get the shares and the likes and the comments that you get on the feel good stuff? So, during my hunts the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking about this, and I'm like, well, for one, like, we all know about it, but when you're able to put things together, when you're able to strike, trail, run, catch, tree, like, it's a proud moment, right? Just like me being able to take the dogs off the tree without a lead, and able to call the dogs off of a bay bear without a lead and bring them up to, back up the mountain without a lead. Like, that is a proud moment. That is a very gratifying, satisfying. It is an accomplishment, right? And especially without having to add pressure. Like, it is an accomplishment. So I think we get overjoyed that, and that's why you see that on social media. You see all the good stuff. But let's just talk about struggles. And we won't even get into the raising the pup part, because that comes with its own set of struggles. Whether you're purchasing a pup, whether you're raising a litter yourself, however it may be, and then we'll get up, you raise that pup up to 8, 10, 12 months old, whatever it is, whenever you decide you're going to start this dog, and then it don't work out, right? You just invested a year of time and money, and we'll get into both of those in just a second, into this hunting partner, and it didn't even work out. So we're going to kind of skip past that point, because that's, like I said, that's a whole other podcast within itself. But you're picking these dogs because you want them to have natural instincts, right? And I'm going to tell you that if you're picking the right dog that's got natural instincts, and their drives are good and their prey drives are good, it's a double-edged sword, because those are the dogs that you're going to struggle with the most, because their natural instincts kicking in. And sometimes, and most of the time, it's going to outweigh your obedience sessions that you've done. We'll get in that in a second. So the natural instincts are what we're looking for, but how much headache does that actually cause you? How many times is that dog getting down and getting on a track and just not giving up, just beating it to death, or just working and working and working, and you're done. You want to go on and you want to go hunting, and that dog, he's not done. He's not done because his natural instincts are overriding that. We don't talk about, training is not automatic. It takes, you've heard me guys say it here, for us in Virginia, we get 3 months to hunt, 2 months of training season and a month of kill season. And the training seasons are not conducive. Like right now, today, it's 88 degrees, humidity this morning. It was 67 degrees this morning with 98% humidity. And the dogs just can't take it. I don't even have my dogs in shape yet, because I'm switching them out every other day. I'm running 2 different packs. We talked about it. And the humidity and the temperatures are so bad that, like, 8:30. I told Maddie yesterday, I said, if we're not doing anything by 8:30, I'm done. Like, I'm done. And when that sun cleared the mountaintops and it started hitting in the open spots down in the timber cuts, it was like you were in a sauna. So, training a dog takes time. And I feel like, for me, to get my dog where I want it, and it's a solid hound that I can turn loose and catch consistently, it takes me 4 years. And that's me. Now, yes, I've got 2-year-olds out here that will catch bear. Absolutely. But I'm going to tell you about some of my struggles in just a minute with these 2-year-olds. But my 4-year-olds, they get inconsistent. They're the ones that I can put my trust in and know that when losers are made, they can make it up. When mistakes are made, they can come out on the other end doing the right thing. But that's me. So, there's a lot of stuff that goes into hound hunting that we're not seeing on social media. Like, we're just not seeing it. Everybody knows it's hunting a hound that, man, there's there's all kinds of problems, integrating dogs into a pack. You're trying to run in a pack mentality. And some dogs don't work out. Some dogs do. Some dogs don't get along. The trash races, you're going to have them. Like, I had one this morning, and I'm going to go back to the podcast that me and Ross did when we talked about sometimes you can correct a problem that causes a problem. Well, let me tell you what happened this morning and what I did and why I did it. So we had went and checked some cornfields, didn't get anything out of it. I rigged around the mountain. Again, it's starting to get hot. I'd come back. I'd went all the way around and come halfway back. And I'm like, man, I got these 3 dogs in the box. Like, I need to get them out and let them stretch their legs, use the bathroom, whatever. So I pulled up to a wide spot on a mountain. And now I still have my 3 dogs on the rig. All my females. I had Sass, Lady, and Attica out this morning. So I let the 3 dogs out, and Chief, which is my year-old, my sea litter, he's literally in the road. His head goes up into the air. He hits the side of the woods. He goes in about 100 yards, and he's bellowing, just bellowing. Well, Briggs and Bishop go with him. Now, I know, because I've hunted Briggs enough to know that if it's trash, he's not going to stay. And I knew it was. If that was a bear 100 yards from the road, them dogs were opened on the box. So I know. So they all go, and they go around the mountain almost a half a mile, and they split. Okay, there it is. Chief makes a circle, and he comes back on his track, and then he comes back up. And anyway, he ends up coming back up, drops off in the road above us and comes down to the road. I put him up. Bishop turns around. She comes back. Briggs had went up the mountain, made a big loop, hit their track, finished it out, and then turned to come back. And you're like, okay, if you knew what it was, why didn't you correct it? All right. Here's why. First of all, I didn't see it. So I wasn't 100% sure. I am sure, but I wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you didn't see it, you didn't see it. If I have not had Chief on enough bear to feel comfortable of applying pressure to him while he opened on it, he took it out of there. That's what I want him to do. I just want him to do it on the right thing. So if I start correcting this behavior now, when I don't have him, like, he's made a couple races. He made one the day before, a couple days before that. Like, he's made a couple races. He's just not where I feel comfortable to start applying pressure to him. I will watch him. I will make sure that I'm not trying to give him opportunities, but I didn't want to correct him in that scenario and just shut him down or cause him to go backwards. The other 2, Briggs and Bishop, I could apply some pressure to him, but I knew what Briggs was going to do. Like, Briggs has been pretty consistent about the races. He'll go for a little bit, and then he'll come back. So I didn't want to cause another problem with Chief by doing that. And, they all turned around and backtracked themselves out. They come back to the truck. I wasted 15, 20 minutes. I didn't waste it. It took me 15 or 20 minutes to get them all back. And that was a positive. Hey, they run trash. They realized they shouldn't have been running this. And they turned and they come back to the truck, and I didn't have to go chase them all over the mountain. So was it a win-win? No. But it's in the right direction. So I did not want to do that. But when you talk about struggles, like, if you're hunting young dogs, that stuff's going to happen. How many, before the Garmins come out, how many times have we spent hours and hours and days looking for dogs? Like, when the old telemetry was there, like, I hated leaving a dog. I told you 100 times I've slept in the cab of my truck more than I care to count trying to chase rain down. Like, that's a struggle. Before I could afford any type of e-collar, if you didn't catch them right in the road chasing whatever they were chasing, you couldn't correct them. And that went on for years before I could do better. But let's get into the money and the time investment. We are the only group of hunters that are pouring money into the economy 365, 24/7. It's not like buying a bow, buying some arrows and a target and going outside and, flinging some arrows. Like, dogs got to be fed every day. Water bill. If you don't have well water, you're paying a water bill. Them dogs got to be watered every day. The amount of money that we spend in flea and tick preventative because Lyme's disease has been so prevalent, like, it's crazy the amount of money. And then bedding for the houses, and then the houses. And I literally just had to go buy 2 pins because the doors where the door hinges are I get retrievers. When the dogs pee on them, they rust out. They're lasting about 2 years. So I literally just bought 2 new pins. That don't even get into the tracking equipment and the truck and the repairs to the truck because, you knocked your front end out of alignment, or you busted a shock, or you drug your muffler across a rock going through a mud hole that you didn't know how to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's endless. It's endless. Your dog boxes, and then your tracking equipment. The GPS, the Garmin's are not cheap. And let's fall into another struggle. Like, I have not had a problem this year. But last year, man, I was losing not communication, but I was losing GPS signal on my collars, on 2 different collars every time I went hunting. And then I was having to track them by the communication bars. And that's another headache within itself because it's a guessing game. Okay, I walk this way, the bars go up to 4. I walk that way, they go down to 3. I cut the difference. I walk this way, and it goes up to 4. Like, I spent hours on the mountain last year chasing 2 different dogs that the GPSs went out on. And I've replaced the collars. I haven't had a problem since. But, that's struggles. That's a struggle. Let's go back to Chief, my sea litter. Chief's making races, doing really well. Drives the track hard. Like, very, very pleased with his ground performance. Okay? He's not treeing to suit me yet. Now, he's just a year old, but this is my old bloodline, and I know that there's plenty of tree in it. And this got it. Me and Ryan Gentry got into a conversation the other day about, dogs not treeing at an early age. Like, I don't care. Yes, I would like for them to, but I want them running that track first. I want them a little bit more track minded. And the reason being is I don't have the issue with the slick trees. When you got dogs who just want to jam up tree, you get into that whole other facet of things that cause other problems and struggles that we all deal with. So I'm okay if my dogs, if they're running, if they're striking, making races, and they're staying at the tree until I get there, I'm going to give them a little grace. I'm going to give them some time. If anybody's hunting the Kemp line dogs, the younger they are, that seems to be a trait that they have is, they're not hard tree dogs right off the get-go. But, man, my 2 dogs have made really, really nice tree dogs. And, it was a year and a half. They were about 18 months old before that really clicked with them. And they caught a lot of bear before then that got away. That's a struggle. It's a headache. It's an aggravation. It's a disappointment. We can talk about all the emotions that go into hound hunting and then you lose a dog. Then you lose a really, really good dog, or you lose any of your dogs. And then the emotional toll that takes on you. You spent, 8, 10, 12 years, whatever it is, that lifespan of that dog, and you've got so many memories with that dog, from the time that you got it, when you raised it, bought it, whatever, and the hunts that you've been on, and the places that you go and travel to, and the people that you've met while you've been with that dog. I mean, that's a whole other rainbow of emotions. Like, there's so much that goes into hunting, and I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody knows this, right? But I mean, just the emotional and the physical toll that it takes. The setbacks we just talked about. Lost dogs we talked about. I mean, failed hunts. Like, how many times have we it's just not worked out? I mean, you're not going to catch every bear. You may go through a spell and catch them day after day after day after day. But if you're pack rebuilding, or your young dogs are getting started, or you're separating your dogs from your old stuff, there's going to be a lot of frustrating hunts. It's going to be a lot of them. It is a mental endurance. Like, it is. You have to be mentally invested. It's just not drop the tailgate and let them roll. It's not for me anyway. I mean, I do so much groundwork with my dogs before we ever get to that point. And I mean, you have dogs that you put them on their first race and they kind of don't know what's going on, or you got dogs that actually, I'll give you two different examples. Sassy, first time she ever come out of the box, Spook brought a bear right across behind me in the truck, and I jumped out, run around the truck. I opened the dog box, and she was right in his back pocket. Made every step of it. First time she was ever out. And then I have, I've got other dogs that they kind of like stand in the road, or the dogs are in their bait and they're not really sure what's going on. They'll run halfway in there, they'll run back, then they'll run in there and they're not really sure what's going on. And, there's just all kinds of things that go into it. Sleepless nights, money, emotions, time away from work if you're taking off, time away from family unless your family goes with you. And that's one of the greatest things about bear hunting, is it is a family event. Especially is with us. I mean, like I said, Maddie hunted with me yesterday. Chelsea went with me this morning. So normally, even if I'm by myself, I've got somebody with me to help. But yeah, so the struggles are real, and we all live those struggles. And if you've hunted dogs for any length of time, you've had them. And if you're hunting dogs now, you're probably still having them. Like, it's great to snap that picture of the dogs at the tree or the bear in the tree. And, I love seeing it. But I think sometimes we actually get away from the reality of things. And that is that this is a drawn out process. And when you get to that pinnacle, when you get your pack operating at a high level and catching game in a consistent manner, like, it is a proud moment. So anyway, you guys should check out Richie's YouTube. He's trying to put some of that stuff in there. One of the things him and I talked about before I get off here, how many times I've done this twice that I can tell you about. How many times have you had to walk in? In fact, I'm going to give you this. I told you about it. You walk in to get a dog, and you have to walk in. Like, it ain't no, you walk miles in to pick up a dog that's either laid down or quit or running trash or whatever. And you're pulling back up out of there, and you sit down on a log or a stump or a rock, and you're like, why in the world do I do this? Like, what am I thinking? This is torture. Like, this is physical torture. And then you get back to the truck, you load the dogs up, you take the collars off, you get home, you feed the dogs. You tell yourself, I'm not going tomorrow. That you don't even set your alarm. 5 o'clock rolls around, eyes open. All right, let's go. You get up and you do it again without even thinking about the day before. Like, there's been 2 times that I have asked myself seriously, why I continue to do this. Like, it takes a dedicated person to do the things we do and to continue doing it, because it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? So anyway, I had another thing I was going to tell you about. Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you before we shut her down. So another struggle I'm having. So Sass, she's 2 years old. Y'all heard me talk about her. She's doing a really good job. But this morning, she struck 4 times going around the mountain. And I feel very confident it's not a deer. We drove past a bunch of deer this morning. I tried to put her in the cornfield. We heard something coming through the corn. I put her down and she run into the edge of it. Then she turned around and come back. I feel like that was a deer, but she struck 4 times. I am fairly confident that it's a yote, but I don't know because I don't see it. There's no tracks. I don't know. So I've got to fix it. And here's my 2 options. And this is going to be for a future podcast on how I fix it. I'm either going to have to set up a scenario where I absolutely know that there's a coyote, which is probably going to consist of trail camera, stuff like that, where I know that they've been there and I can go put her on it. Or I can actually just put her down on the track and let her run and hope that I can get where I can see it cross. And then I would know 100% what she was doing. But then I'm encouraging a behavior that I've never encouraged her to do. I don't think any bear hunter has ever purposely, well, now I take that back. I know the guys up north and stuff do it. But for me, I've never give my dogs any training on yotes, ever. I don't put them on them. I don't let them run them. I don't want them to run them. They just do that. We go back to that natural instinct, how much that can hurt us, right? In training is the natural instinct. They want to run those tracks. And I have no idea why my dogs want to run a coyote. And I got 2 that's trashing. And I'm not going to say it's horrible, but it's bad enough to make it aggravating. Like I said, she struck 4 times this morning. And I didn't put her down none of the times either. Because I knew better. So I've got to fix that problem. And if I come up with another solution when I get to fixing it, I'll definitely tell you about it. And I hope you guys listen to the auditory exclusion, because that's real. Just like yesterday when I called them dogs off that bayed bear, I could see the dogs. When I toned them, they looked at me. I spoke their name. They had acknowledged that, hey, Dad's right there. He hollered for me. But, man, this bear is really fun, and I don't want to go. But I made sure that our communication was there. So the auditory exclusion was not it ended up being tunnel vision. So, guys, I hope you guys are having a great training season. Stay out of the bees and the snakes because it's still warm. And I definitely want to give a shout out to our sponsor, W. Man, all your equipment, everything that you need with them, they have been fantastic to work with. I get all of my equipment there, and I know there's a lot of great suppliers. I wished I could shout out to all of them because I have some friends in all of them. But W's been really good to me, and just wanted to give them a shout out. So go on their website, W Hunting Supply. Get your latest needs. If it's lead straps and collars, man, the Alpha XL is very nice. The more I use it, the more I like it. So if you don't have one, you really ought to look it up. So catch you guys next Wednesday.
Tailgate drops before the light, coolers packed and the rig sitting right, tracking collars charged, beeping green, boots in the bed and the rifle's clean. Dog box rattling, engines hum, we're chasing bear till the day is done. Old ring barking like he knows what's near, nose to the wind, tail full of cheer. From the Virginia mountains to the Carolina clay, we're burning fuel and miles each day. Every turn's another tale, through mountain mist and paper trails. We see the sunset red in Tennessee, rise through the fog in old WV. North Carolina's pines echo loud with the cry of a hard-run hound. New York forest, Maine's deep snow, Vermont valleys where the black bears go. Truck keeps rolling, wheels don't care. We're chasing daylight, chasing bear. Rest stops few, the roads are long, but the fire in our hearts still burns strong. Wisconsin mornings cutting crisp and clear, Canada's wildwoods drawing near. Still got states we ain't run, but that hound dog fever won't let us quit. We see the sunset red in Tennessee, rise through the fog in old WV. North Carolina's pines echo loud with the cry of a hard-run hound. New York frost, Maine's deep snow, Vermont valleys where the black bears go. Truck keeps rolling, wheels don't care. We're chasing daylight, chasing bear. Gas station coffee, Alpha XL on the dash. Another back road, another bear track. Friends made fast and stories told slow. Under stars where only hunters go. We see the sunrise gold in Canadian air, and it sets on a trail down in Appalachia. Packing steel and leather, grit and care. We're built for the road and chasing bear. So load the dogs and slam the gate. There's a trail ahead, we won't be late. From dawn to dusk, we're always there. Chasing daylight, chasing them bears.